So, do you remember the character Steve Urkel from the 90s hit show Family Matters?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Jaleel White, right?
Jaleel White, who played
Uh-huh.
Steve Urkel, he made that show. And it was announced recently that Jaleel is joining the list of celebrities who have launched their own cannabis brand.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Joe wrote on his website, he said he also hopes to debunk the stereotypes associated with cannabis and to celebrate its medical breakthroughs. Burying my way into an industry not known for diversity or inclusion has been both challenging and rewarding, he said on his website. Other celebrities that have joined the cannabis industry in recent years have included Drake, Snoop Dogg, of course, and Willie Nelson. And so
Willie
Jaleel,
Nelson, really?
yeah,
I didn't know
well,
that.
yeah, but that makes sense. I mean, he's been doing hash for a long time, and he looks the part. Welcome to episode 10 of Breaking It Down with DJ and Courtney.
Episode 10, we made
10, we made it,
it.
and I'm loving it. So we like to start each episode with a little segment called What's Still Cooking. It gives Courtney and me a chance to talk about things that we still lingering on our minds, that we've read, watched, or experienced. And what's still cooking for me is Sunday brunch. I had a few friends over for brunch to include Courtney. So did you enjoy yourself?
I did. Had a good time. We had great conversation.
Oh
So
yeah, it
it
was
was
a
fun.
wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed it. And I probably had too many mimosas.
I mean, I only needed one.
Yeah, someone did say it was too strong, but that's the way I like it. So, do have some bad news in the hip hop community. So, Black Rob, whose real name is Robert Ross, died
Mhm.
Saturday, April 17th, at the age of 52. Black Rob was signed to Diddy's Bad Boy Records label and released one of my favorite hip hop songs, "Whoa," back in 2000.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And Black Rob, close friend Mark Curry, said Black Rob had been on dialysis for 5 years. He
Wow.
had a history of kidney issues and diabetes, and he had suffered several strokes in recent years.
Mm.
So ultimately dying of kidney failure at the Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta. So shortly before Black Rob died, he shared a very sad Instagram video of himself talking about his situation and had revealed he had no place to live. Him
Hmm.
saying, "I've been dealing with this for 5 years," he explained. And he had had four strokes by this time. And he also included, I don't know what to tell you, man. This stuff is crazy. This stuff is hard. I don't have a house to live in. Really, man, I need rest. And Mark Curry and producer Mark Zombie started a GoFundMe page to help with Black Rob's medical bills and housing before he passed away. So I checked the website, the GoFundMe page, and it looked like he's already accumulated $31,000 out of a $50,000 goal. And several celebrities left Instagram condolences on Black Rob's social media, Diddy being one. Diddy posted a throwback photo of him and Black Rob with the caption, "Rest in power, King. As I listen to your records, there's one thing that they have in common. You have made millions of people all over the world feel good and dance. You are one of a kind. God bless you. Love, you will be missed." But it wasn't long before criticism came aimed at Diddy. A
Right.
few of the comments were, "People always show love when someone dies just for the likes." Shaking my head.
Mm.
"The man was homeless. Where was the love then?" And other commenters echoed that same sentiment, saying, "Hey Diddy, why did he die homeless?
Wow.
Excuse me, are you helping to pay for the funeral?
Ooh.
Oh, please, you weren't worried about him when he was breathing. Go to hell."
Wow.
So people was very passionate about that.
Yeah. I mean, I know that people had been giving Diddy some criticism, and I think it's
Hmm.
just it's a broader conversation just about how the music industry, what what type of benefits and protection do they provide their artist.
Right.
So, but yeah, so
Yeah, because some
wow.
feel that Diddy has done little to help the failing careers of the artists he signed to Bad Boy Records and knowing their careers while focusing solely on his success.
Mm.
But Mark Curry later took to social media to inform the public that Diddy had been reaching out to help. But my heart goes out to the Black Rob family.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then another hip hop legend passed away recently too. Shock G, you know, the Humpty Dance.
Yeah.
So you
With
know,
Tupac.
hip hop has really been
Losing a lot of icons.
Yeah, been heavy hit. Well, I just had one thing that was cooking for me. I saw that there had been an accident involving a Tesla vehicle near Houston, and 2 men were killed in a Tesla Model S, but nobody was behind the wheel. So, you know, that whole autopilot, auto drive. It looks like there's going to be some regulation coming because there's going to be an investigation.
Right.
So I just thought that was, you know, really interesting. It made me think of iRobot. This is why I'm like, I'm not going for no auto driving cars. It's not for me. It's not for me.
I don't want to pay that kind of money to die.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that was it.
Yeah. So we are at our first main topic for the week. So I first saw this story and I didn't want to break it down because it's yet another sad story that reflects the continuous problem that has plagued America for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
But a problem needs to be continually discussed until we see the changes needed. So on the afternoon of April 20th, a Columbus police officers arrived to a chaotic altercation outside of Angela Moore's home. Officer Nicholas Riordan, who's white, fatally shoots 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant, who's African American, killing her. So body camera footage from Officer Riordan, who shot Ma'Khia, shows her wielding a knife and lunging it towards another person wearing the color pink before Officer Riordan shoots her 4 times, killing Ma'Khia Bryant in the driveway of her aunt's home, who was at work.
Yeah. You said you didn't want to read this story. What turned you off about the story? I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but...
Well, upon hearing it, I knew the media would flock to this story like flies on horse crap. But then I began hearing more about the details of the story. I felt this story was different. I saw how the media was trying to present the story as another piece of the Black Lives Matter narrative. And I see it as a possible threat to the Black Lives Matter movement.
Really?
Yeah, I see it as a threat.
How and why?
I see it as a threat because there are many victims of police brutality out there. And while right now the media is placing a spotlight on the injustices of the law enforcement community, but for about another 5 minutes. But that time needs to be taken to reflect and spotlight incidents that shows blatant disregard for upholding the law by law enforcement. And this, I don't think, is a blatant disregard for the law that this police officer is displaying.
Wait, so you think the police officer was justified in shooting and killing Ma'Khia Bryant?
So I can't say if Officer Riordan was justified in shooting Ma'Khia shooting and killing her. I can say that the reason why I say shooting and killing Ma'Khia, because the reason he shot 4 times was because the intent was to kill Ma'Khia, not to simply restrain her from stabbing the other person. So to me, he should have shot her to restrain her.
So you thought that he should have shot her?
Yes, he could have. She could have shot her in the leg. He could have tased her, but shooting her 4 times let me know that he was intending to kill her.
And so I don't understand why you think then this is a threat to the Black Lives Matters movement.
Because normally, if well, let me look at it from the girl in pink perspective. She's about to be stabbed to death. Well, I don't know if she would have been stabbed to death or not, but she's about to be stabbed. Would you want that officer to shoot that Ma'Khia to stop you from being stabbed?
No, not at all. If anything,
Well,
there were other things that, so this is my problem with the whole
okay,
thing. There's a couple of things that you said that I got a problem with.
okay.
Um, I will agree that the things that have happened after this incident are
Mm-hmm.
problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what actually happened is a problem because from the footage, I see no efforts from the officer to de-escalate. He yelled a couple of times, but there are other people in this scene. I don't know why it was necessary for him to use lethal force. There was no reason for him to even pull out his gun. He could
Mm-hmm.
have he could have used his body to intervene. He didn't try to do
Mm-hmm.
that. He didn't use a taser. Like there was no real effort to protect anybody in this scene. So, with the way that he shot and shooting 4 times, he could have shot the girl in pink. I don't think there was any effort to protect in this effort. And then going back to my other point about the things that have happened afterwards, I don't think that this incident deters the Black Lives Matter movement
Mm-hmm.
because the issue is still the same. The issue is the police and the way they police in this country creates a health risk for Black and brown bodies. And that has not changed. It doesn't matter the circumstance. The way that the police, the way that they exert their power and
Mm-hmm.
abuse their power creates a health risk for Black bodies. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that people are not focusing on that is
Mm-hmm.
the issue that I think is
Mm-hmm.
happening right now.
Well, I don't know all the intricate facts surrounding the story, but neither George Floyd nor Dante Wright was wielding a weapon with the intent of attacking another person when they were killed by the police.
Mm-hmm.
And a few just quick facts. So Columbia officers, well, Columbus officers are allowed to use deadly force to protect someone if the officer feels another person is in danger of being killed. And tasers are generally reserved for situations where there is no immediate threat of death. And Columbus officers are not required to call out that they are going to fire a weapon, though they try to do that if there's time. So there's some
And that I
debates
think is problematic.
that those are laws. Those are the laws
Yeah,
that
like
they
that's a
have.
problem. Yeah, but continue. You had some other facts, right?
So those are three facts, but I did want to go into more details about the situation. So
Okay.
the first 911 call that brought the police to the house came at 4:32 p.m. on Tuesday. As of now, the person's identity is still unclear.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'Khia's family says it was Ma'Khia that made the phone call, but the police have not verified if that's true or not. The caller is screaming on the call saying someone is trying to stab us and had put hands on my grandmother. The
Mm.
dispatcher asks again and again whether the call has the person who's, I guess,
Making the
attacking
call. Mm-hmm.
has any weapons. And the caller responds, just, we need the police officer here now. And then a second call came, but they hung up because the police had already arrived at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have questions about who was the girl making the call. I mean, the family is saying it was Ma'Khia. The police
Yep.
haven't confirmed if that's the case or not. But as I begin to listen to the story, and I begin to find out that Ma'Khia is a foster child living um in her aunt's home, I went, okay, well, let me see, can I find more information about Ma'Khia, who Ma'Khia is?
I don't think that that's relevant. I don't think that's
Mm-hmm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really frustrated that people are doing that because
Mm-hmm.
one, it feels like the effort is to vilify her and make
Mm-hmm.
it seem that it was justified that she would be murdered. And here's
Mm-hmm.
the issue.
Okay.
Even though she had a weapon, that doesn't mean that the police have the right to murder her. There are several times that
Mm-hmm.
white people have had weapons and have been secured by the police, weapons even attacking the police, like aimed at the police, and they still
Mm-hmm.
have their lives. They're still around to tell it. So
Mm-hmm.
again, the issue is the attack of police against Black and brown bodies. And
Mm-hmm.
these distractions of, well, why was she in a foster home? And why did she
Mm-hmm.
have a knife? All of those things take away the focus on what the real issue is.
Well, I think the media is going to dig into this, and I'm interested too. I mean, that's the truth. But I did find that the aunt Angela Moore divulged that Ma'Khia had moved into her home on February 14th, and that Ma'Khia was one of the 3 foster children living there, including Ma'Khia's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Ma'Khia's mother, Paula Bryant, who works as a nursing assistant in Columbus, has been working towards a reunion, is what Paula said, trying to get her daughters back. And the reason why I think something about that sounds to be a bit off to me is because that makes me wonder what kind of environment was Ma'Khia and her sister living in previously
Those
with their
types
mother.
of questions, again, I feel like are attempts to take away her humanity. And those types of questions aren't important. And it's really disappointing to me how Black men especially are usually the ones that are asking these questions when it happens to a Black woman. Like I don't
Really?
I
Black
don't
men?
have absolutely. I feel like Black
Wow.
women are always defending Black men. And
True, but I don't.
when
This
Black
isn't.
women are, need protection or whatever, Black men aren't there. They
I
aren't
just
there.
that's scathing. That to say that Black men, and I have to say that some of that rings true, but all Black men, no. But these are
Oh
still
my gosh,
important
you did not just
questions.
not all Black men. Well,
Not
clearly
all
I'm not
Black
talking about
men.
all Black men, but
Okay.
there is a big majority
Mm-hmm.
that why is that even an issue? Like I said, the true problem here
Mm-hmm.
is the police. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need we don't when George Floyd was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
people wanted to talk about his past and talk about all of that. We centered the conversation on what we saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw in the video from the officer that murdered Ma'Khia is that the officer showed up, asked no questions, pulled his gun, and murdered Ma'Khia. Why does all of these other factors have anything to do with it?
They did ask questions
He
about
didn't ask
all
any
that.
questions. He didn't
No,
ask any
not
questions.
the officer. I mean, the
That's what I'm
officer is not going to
saying. But
come
the
trying to find out
officer
if
is the
she's a
one
foster
who had
child
the
or not.
gun.
But I'm just saying the who Ma'Khia Bryant is as this move forward through the media
She
through the
was a
cycle.
Black woman. She was a Black child who deserved to live. She was a Black child who was in danger. I believe that she did call the police and she deserved to be protected. And it seems like she was doing everything that she could to protect herself. So who was there to protect her? And now who are these and so it seems like no one, even in her death, is protecting her. Because even by
We'll see.
asking these questions, that's not protecting her. It's not.
Well, it's a possibility that she is the aggressor. That's and not
I
saying
don't
that
think so. You know what?
we don't know all the
What I do
details
know is
yet.
this. I saw this was posted on social media yesterday.
Okay.
Again, it's posted on social media, so it has to still be verified. But LaShondra Tinsley posted, FYI, I went to the memorial yesterday and spoke with Ma'Khia Bryant's family and friends. Those girls, one was a 28-year-old adult, had come to Ma'Khia Bryant's foster home 3 days in a row, trying to fight her. The foster mom is the one who had the girls come fight Ma'Khia, claiming she was unruly. Everyone in the entire house was against Ma'Khia. And when her father came, she finally felt safe enough to come out and fight. Imagine a 15-year-old thinking process of having to fight a 28-year-old and others, and her own foster mother calling to have her beat up. Ma'Khia's little sister is the one who made the 911 call. 3 days straight, all by herself. I'm sure Ma'Khia was extremely scared, but felt she had to be brave and protect herself by any means necessary. This information hasn't come out in the media just yet, but if the investigation is done properly and there's transparency, you will hear all about it. Had the cop tased her or simply attempted to stop her from stabbing the girl, he could have found out. And that's why he, along with the foster mother and all adults involved, are at fault. And that's all I have to say about that.
Well, if that's the situation, that's true, and that's what eventually comes out as the facts, then yeah, that's very sad. But still, it doesn't answer the question of if her father came to visit her, then why isn't he having custody of his own daughter? You know?
That doesn't matter. This is the issue. This is the issue. And this is going to be my breakdown because we need to wrap up the segment. This is my breakdown.
Okay.
Ma'Khia's life mattered. And the way that policing is done in this country, we even look at to the history of why the hell we even have police.
Mm-hmm.
You can recognize that it is not to protect or value Black and brown bodies. And that is the only thing that we need to be talking about. Talking about all of these cursory issues about if this or then or whatever, what that does is that places blame on Ma'Khia and Ma'Khia's circumstances. And that is not solving the problem. The problem is the way that police is done and how quickly they are to murder Black and brown bodies. Reason or not, that is a problem. So
Well,
what's your breakdown?
my breakdown is this is another example of inadequate law enforcement training. And another reason why law enforcement training reform is so needed. We already know in similar altercations involving white people, the police respond differently.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to hear that the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is conducting a third-party investigation to get answers because they're just because I just don't feel like this is a George Floyd and a Dante Wright situation. But I do know this, that if there was no George Floyd, this would be an open and shut case situation. You know, there'd be no any questions about Ma'Khia. Police shot her. She had a knife in her hand. Case closed. But because of George Floyd, he died, and that whole situation, we are asking questions in a way that we haven't asked questions before about these kinds of situations, and that's a good thing. My beef is with the media is, as of now, they're classifying this story as another George Floyd incident, and I feel that it just isn't. Anytime you go wielding a knife in the street and with the intention of stabbing another person, it's just not going to end well for you. But I'm sure there's more to the story than what's being currently reported, and I still can't wait to find out what those details are so that so Ma'Khia doesn't get vilified. But if it's the case, it's the case. I still have a ton of questions about the circumstances around the situation and what would have happened if Officer Reardon didn't stop Ma'Khia Bryant from stabbing the girl who was wearing pink. So I also want more details about the female who was wearing the pink outfit and who was about to be stabbed. And I want to know about the guy who kicked the girl in the head and the girl who got kicked in the head. So there's a lot of questions that I have. So, do you remember the character Steve Urkel from the 90s hit show Family Matters?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jaleel White, right?
Jaleel White, who played Steve Urkel, he made that show. And it was announced recently that Jaleel is joining the list of celebrities who have launched their own cannabis brand.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Joe wrote on his website, he said he also hopes to debunk the stereotypes associated with cannabis and to celebrate its medical breakthroughs. Burying my way into an industry not known for diversity or inclusion has been both challenging and rewarding, he said on his website. Other celebrities that have joined the cannabis industry in recent years have included Drake, Snoop Dogg, of course, and Willie Nelson. And so Jaleel,
Nelson, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I mean, he's been doing hash for a long time, and he looks the part. So Jaleel is partnering with 710 Labs on his new line called It's Purple. And it launched in California on April 20th in lieu of 420.
420, right.
And it includes variants of the cannabis strain Purple Urkel.
Purple Urkel, wow.
Purple Urkel origins are believed to stem from the select phenotype called Mendocino purps, while the essence is a blend of cannabis, berry, and fresh grapes. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So the effects of purple Urkel is said to be deeply relaxing, sleep-inducing, full-body pain relief, and
Mm.
offers a perfect nighttime option to rest if you're suffering from insomnia.
Oh, wow. So that's probably an indica. So he needs to
Mhm.
have another strain that's like the Stefan Urkel, which could be a sativa. You
Uh-huh.
remember when he would put himself through his transformation and he'd be cool and he
Yeah.
wasn't, Steve Urkel. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
needs to, once he branches out, he should get
Yeah.
another strand that's a sativa,
Like
that's Stefan Urkel.
Laura, try my my purple
No.
Urkel.
Did I do that?
Did I do that? I was high.
That's
So
great. Cool.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, let's move into the next segment.
Okay.
Well, DJ, you just really set up this next segment so wonderfully for me. So I wanted to talk about 420 actually, because last week was 420. For those who don't know, that is the police code for marijuana. And so on April 20th, all of the people who, not all, but I guess people who participate celebrate.
Who partake?
And more states in the United States have been legalizing recently. And I was just curious, I know it's not legal in Virginia yet, but what have you noticed, if anything, about like society and culture since more states have begun legalizing?
I think that I've seen more African Americans are more open uh, to smoke weed publicly, And I say
Mm.
publicly, but I think like I said, I know you mentioned this before about you can smell it all over the place now.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
My bedroom, like I think there's someone in one of the buildings nearby. My bedroom is
Mm,
always like I feel
mm.
like I get a contact high, especially if
Uh-huh.
I can there's a waker and baker in my there's a wake and bake somewhere. So if I sleep in too long, I'm gonna get a contact high when I get up in the morning in DC.
Well, currently there are 9 states that have legalized, I guess, reduced restrictions on
Hmm.
marijuana, to include Washington, D.C. So it's beginning to get more, I think, accepted.
Hmm.
I'm seeing it more on television. I'm seeing it more in sitcoms. I'm seeing that weed is being more involved in pop culture in a way
Yeah.
that it hasn't been before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even on 420, I got an alert from Uber Eats, like giving me a discount code to order something in case I got the munchies. So like it's clearly becoming more normalized. But one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up is that it feels like everyone doesn't get to play. So I
Mhm,
saw this story about Chicago. I remember I was in Illinois when it was released that they were going to legalize marijuana.
mhm,
Um, but I think last year was the first year it was actually legalized. However, 3 times the number of African Americans were arrested for marijuana related offenses in Chicago than
wow.
any other ethnicities combined in 2020. And so it seems like everybody's not getting a chance to play in this legalization.
Mhm,
Um, I mean, some of the reasons that legalization were to happen is to ameliorate the imbalances in the justice system, but it doesn't look
mhm.
like that's happening in Chicago.
Right, right. So do you say not when you say doesn't get a chance to play, are you referring to black people not being able to open their own marijuana dispensaries?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like in the article that I found, and we can link the article in the show notes. It's like on the north side, white people are having their dispensaries and they're having this like luxurious experience with
Mm-hmm.
enjoying cannabis. But on the
Mm-hmm.
south side, one, there are more arrests. And with more arrests, that prevents you from being able to participate because if you're a felon, you're not able to participate in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a racial bias, and let's be clear. My marijuana has been demonized for years
Yep.
by the government.
Hmm.
By becoming an African American owned marijuana dispensary, you're going to literally put a target on your
You
back
think so?
by the police, by the government, by portions, even by the portions of the black community who feels that that smoking weed is a infernal activity. Now, let me remind you the states that border Illinois: Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, India. And
In
no, India,
Indiana.
it's been Indiana, which is Minneapolis, which houses Minneapolis, where we having all these issues. So we
Mm-hmm.
call Chicago the Midwest, but Chicago was a part of the Mississippi Great Migration,
That's right.
which many African Americans migrated to Chicago
Mm-hmm.
in the hopes of upward mobility
Right.
and to escape the harsh reality of the Jim Crow mentality, which existed in the Deep South, which is Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that Deep South mentality
Is still
also
in Chicago.
wasn't too far behind them.
That's right. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it's interesting because I think Family Matters was set in Chicago, right?
Oh, which I thought it was San Francisco, but I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. I don't remember,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Mm-hmm.
thought they were in the Midwest.
I
Maybe,
thought I saw
maybe
the
not.
row houses back. The row houses was a
In
big
Family
deal in San
Matters?
Francisco. And Family Matters. 'Cause I thought Family Matters, and also that show that had the Olsen twins.
Yeah,
I
that one's
thought
in San Francisco, but I thought Family
okay.
Matters was someplace else. But I don't know.
I thought they
I'll
was in the
Google
same
it.
city. Yeah.
I'll Google it. No, I think they were. I mean, they came on the same night, but I think they were in different
Maybe I
cities.
got them running together in my mind
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah. But so like even there's a double standard. So we acknowledge there's a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
And in the article, there's a line that says, at the same time that the state's legal weed industry is making millions and white smokers are enjoying this boutique experience with designer weed and clean, fashionable North Side dispensaries, Black and brown people are left out of the windfall and they continue to be arrested for selling weed illegally. So, again, I think you're right. I think that Black weed smokers are targeted, but they also don't have the opportunity to experience the same thing that white smokers get to do. One, there aren't as many dispensaries where Black people are living in Chicago. And like I said, there were so many people that were arrested before it was legal who are now not able to participate, so they're not even able to open a dispensary or things like that. So say you living in Chicago and you participate. Are you going to go all the way to the North Side to get your weed and then come all the way back to where you're living? And even if you were to do that, you would probably purchase more than what's legally, available, because who's going to make those types of trips? But here's the other thing. So this is what I want to do. I want to know if the goal was really to decriminalize the substance, because clearly it's not an issue about marijuana being unsafe. It was always about, how do we make a profit? How do we tax the substance? Right? So now that they found a way to do that, how can they not also find a way to make it so that Black people can participate? Right? You're a career coach. I'm sure you've seen like programs for returning citizens to enter the job force. There are efforts being made to do that. How come there can't be efforts to be made to help Black people participate in this lucrative business?
Yeah, because I think you said it earlier about this isn't about Black people, about getting Black people involved. It's not about making Black people business owners in terms of marijuana. It's not about reducing the number of African American men who are arrested for small crimes. So it's not about this. It's about, as you see, it's about to appease white people. Enjoy this herb, and they are making it easier for them to enjoy it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, the case in Chicago has made that very clear. And advocates really need to pay attention to that because it is a lucrative business. I'm happy to hear that Jaleel White is participating, but I think there are, I'm curious about how many people are still behind bars serving time for marijuana related offenses when white people are having the time of their lives now. And then, even looking at Illinois, so we talked about, I don't remember which episode, how the reparations in Evanston, Illinois, their program started. But
the second episode.
Oh, okay. No, that wasn't the second episode. We just talked about that recently. We'll put it in the show notes. We'll link it in the show notes.
Okay.
But anyways, that program, the reparations program in Evanston, is partially funded by the revenue generated from marijuana sales. So they're creative enough to use the funds to support Black people. But how much more could they support Black people if they were able to have Black people generate their own wealth, you know, by being able to participate legally?
Yeah. I want to say, you know, you gonna do your breakdown now, or I can do my breakdown?
Yes, go ahead, break it down.
Okay, so I want to say, Black folks, is this thing on? America has a long-standing history of hypocrisy, and the U.S. history shows that time and time again that America laws, will create laws to change policy, but they have not changed their mentality along with those policies, and that's what I mean by hypocrisy. Like, for instance, Republican Steve Alford, a member of the Kansas House of Representatives, explained this during a meeting was what you really need to do is go back into the 30s, and when they outlaw all types of drugs, including Kansas, across the U.S., one of the reasons why is because African Americans, due to their character and makeup and their genetics, is the reason why, they cannot legalize marijuana. So that's the mentality. Go ahead.
That is not hypocrisy. I will say this. Black people, are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? This country was not made. The laws in this country were not made for us to thrive.
No, it was
not. So
not.
we need to move and act in this country with that awareness. And we need to, there are things that we can do to make change that's going to benefit us as a people. But don't accept the okie doke. Just don't. No. Like, it's not even about hypocrisy. It's about it working the way that it was designed.
Yeah, because Public Enemy said, can't trust it.
That's
back in the 90s. Can't trust it.
That's right. All right. All right. So let's move into the Inspire segment. As a way to end the show on a high note, no pun intended.
High.
High note. But I saw this news I was really excited about because I was a fan of Jeopardy when Alex Trebek was the host. Rest in peace. And I know they have been doing this thing with having guest hosts. So they haven't picked a new permanent host. But I saw a petition a while ago, and I believe I signed it, where viewers wanted to have LaVor Burton of Reading Rainbow and Star Trek be the host. And he is going to be a guest host.
Yay.
And he wants to be the host. So I'm really hoping that once he gets on there and people see how great he is, that he will become the new permanent host. But I'm really proud. It was the petition that made it happen. So petitions do work sometimes. So I just thought that was really inspiring.
He does have some competition, though.
Yes, he does.
Katie Couric, Dr. Oz, Anderson Cooper, even George Stephanopoulos have been, some are slotted to actually be on the show.
Robin Roberts too, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Burton would be there July 26th through July 30th.
Awesome. I can't wait. I love him. Like, I loved him from Reading Rainbow, and who's also in Roots. He's just, I think he would be great for Jeopardy.
I really like that those sun visors are those visors he would wear as Lieutenant Commander
on Star Trek.
Star Trek,
Yeah.
So anybody can teach me how to read and also wear cool glasses. You got me sold.
Well, you know me, I'm the reader, so I loved Reading Rainbow. So I'm excited to see LaVor Burton on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And that is episode 10.
Yes.
We did it.
We did it.
So we do have an announcement, right?
Yes, I do.
So everyone, you've made it this far. And next week we have...
So we have a surprise guest next week. And I'm looking forward to it. Our first guest.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm so excited. So if you're listening this week, if you've made it this far into the show, be sure to come back and listen next week. And in the meantime, you can reach out to us on social media. We are on Instagram at Breaking It Down Show, Facebook at Breaking It Down Podcast. And for those who aren't on social and you want to send us an email, how can they do that, DJ?
Send your email to breakingitdownshow@gmail.com. Again, that's breakingitdownshow@gmail.com.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone who's been listening. I've been receiving some text messages. Someone even said that our last episode was our best one yet. So
wow.
if you guys haven't watched, be sure to catch up, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye. Breaking It Down with DJ and Courtney is edited and produced by Designs by Courtney H. Music produced by Courtney Hinton.
Thank you for viewing.
Please hit the subscribe button and thumbs up this video.
Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode.
Thanks for watching.